Alright guys, welcome to my channel. It's December 19th, 2021. Hopefully provide you with another thing to think about today. Well, I'm going to provide you with another thing to think about today. Take the message or leave it. And if you get nothing else, unoffendable is better than being fearful. It may be uncomfortable. It may be very difficult. For some people, remaining undefendable instead of being fearful is extremely taxing. I have known people like that. Because of how I live my life, I've lost friendships over that. It still makes me uncomfortable because it's a bummer. But so be it. That was their choice. And there's nothing I can do about that. I can't control that. And that's what unoffendable comes down to, is controlling what is mine to control. Fear comes down to controlling what is not mine to control. And we just got to realize, so basic life stuff is just that. And that we all get wrong. I still slip back into it, and I realize it takes, if this is your first time ever thinking about, if this is your first time ever thinking about, and I've had some friends, I've had this conversation with them for the first time while we were adults or in high school. They never thought about, one of my best friends, never really thought about going through life fearlessly, trying to do that. That could be a goal in life. And I'm not really a goal-oriented person. I have long-term goals. I'm not a crazy short-term goal person. I do have them for this podcast, but not that I really podcast. I have to record until I get 50 subscribers. Lame YouTube, but no, I'm just kidding. Not a big deal. You gotta have goals to work up to. But no, it's good to have goals. I'm not crazy, super everything's a goal kind of person. But man, trying to live fearlessly is a great goal. It'll shape. Just trying to do that, trying to do that for make that not a New Year's resolution, but a thing that okay, throughout the year, I'm going to try to think about how I can live life more fearlessly. Change your life. It really does. I did that as a teenager. I mean, imagine that. All those hormones running through my brain. You could ask my parents, my friends, my teachers, I'm sure. And I failed it. But so it's not to say it's this thing you can just do out of the blue. I'm going to brush my teeth every day for 30 days, and then I'll brush my teeth every day for the rest of my life. It's no, it doesn't work that way. It's not possible for it to work that way. It's the nature of fear versus hope, faith versus despair. So, anyways, but I make this equation where I've come to make this equation because this is one of the main things I do in my life is that I think about is unoffendable is better than being fearful. It's greater than being fearful. And why unoffendable? Because offense makes us focus on what we cannot control, what other people have done, said, think, and perhaps what even has just happened to us, the world around. It's not a person, environmentally, a truck breaks down. That's not necessarily a person's fault. Sure, someone built the vehicle, but almost no one faults the maker of the vehicle, unless it's a brand new vehicle or you just got it out of the mechanic shop. Then you might think, paint mechanic or whatever. But anyways, keeping this family friendly. Try to keep it family friendly. So so point being is just that, unoffendable, man, it sets us up for fear because we get fearful because we've been focused on what we can be offended by. And I got to be really careful about the details I get into on YouTube here. I plan to set up something where I can be more specific with articles and the words I use and so on and so forth. But right now, it's just not going to happen on here. So I respect the freedom of YouTube to say this or that can't be said. So I'm fine, okay, just do that somewhere else. On here, I can't get into that too much, but the things that have been going on with things that were burned by people and inflammatory remarks that were said on Twitter and other places, upon the Twitter sphere, that really, really upset people. And and then what came hard on the heels? Or like you'd have like that one day, and then the next week, or next day, or later that day sometimes, or months later, right after a bunch of inflammatory remarks and situations, whether it be political, economic, social, religious, or things against your family, or maybe some of these remarks were so well crafted, so devious, they could inflame a person, myself included, in multiple arenas of life, and over multiple areas of my life, my heart, and where I've invested myself, and man, and what I hold valuable. I mean, that can really set you off kilter. You really got to deal with that, and that makes it harder to do the day-to-day life stuff when you're dealing with that. So one way to deal with that quicker that I found works is just to become less offendable. And that happens by focusing on what I believe, focusing on resting. So I found out today that some people think that GameStop, AMC, squeeze is going to happen again. We're going to crash more banks or whatever it was. I don't even remember totally what crashed. But I put stock into such companies last year around the very, let's say, popular time to do so. If you were on a certain web page, a certain group, which I was connected to that group at the time, and nothing against them, I'm just not right now, and not directly. I have family members, and so, anyways, just going a different route. So, point being is that whether you're in that group or not, you probably remember that two certain companies, one having to do with one of my favorite, all-time favorite fun things to do, games, video games. Freaking love it. Video games and comics intersecting. That is like, oh, that's the manna. That's the manna from heaven. That's the holy grail. Anyways, especially if it's Batman. Love Batman. Anyways, point being, there you go, goofy nerdy side. Can't help it. It's got to get out. So where I was going with that was that listening to this guy who I come to trust, find him valid and resourceful and factual, and he's good at presenting alternative views that I can't find very many other places without an agenda. Doesn't really have an agenda except presenting these views. And his YouTube page, I'll put the name down below along with the link to this video that I was listening to. But basically a commenter, a person listening, I don't know if he's a subscriber, but someone who was listening said, hey, what do you think about this squeeze thing happening, right? Things being squozen. So squeeze the squoze. So anyways, yeah, so they were, it was like, hey man, I think I'm very, very strong opinion that this, and belief that this is going to happen again. And yeah, so anyways, so what are the odds that something as weird and rare as that happens 2 times in a row at the same time of the year, right? I mean, what are the odds of hitting 2 home runs right in a row, 2 players? I mean, that almost never happens. 2 touchdowns, 2 plays, 2 offensive plays in a row, field goal point aside. And 2 3-pointers from the same spot on the court twice in a row. The best players don't even get that option very often. 2 goals from the same point on the field within seconds of each other. How often does that happen? Almost never in an actual game, right? With variables, things that can't be controlled. You get where I'm going with this? So fear. So whether that guy realizes it or not, he's contributing to an atmosphere. He is helping build an atmosphere, an environment around people, investors, and just people who maybe aren't even investors or are thinking about investing for the first time, that is setting the stage for a lot of fear. And people who are saying this, don't pay a lot of attention to them. If you're interested in those 2 companies related to video games and movies, that I'm just going to resist from naming because I don't know at what point I can get in trouble on that here. So I just would rather stay away from that. My point is not to cause contention, but to cause growth. So, and I don't think contention is needed in this case for growth. So, not here. So yeah, unoffendable, right? So I
Could have really let that get to me. I think that was a stupid remark to make. I don't think that's a smart question. I think it's good Mineko didn't let it just hang out there. But speculation can just ensue, and anyways, speculative opinions. And anyways, we see what that does to market, right? Makes it a mess, ultimately, in the end. And we are just about in the end. That's fact. Look at the numbers. Listen to the economists. I'm not your economist, but yeah. So, anyways, so if any of this is useful thoughts for you, it's really brief, and hopefully, going to push you to channels like this Mineko 64 guy, who's really good at contributing valuable information, facts. That's because he goes fact heavy. Look for fact heavy sites. Maybe those ones that that one company. Not blue checks, but I forget what they call it, where they news something like NewsGuard or something. They validate that, oh yeah, that's a real news source, right? Look for those sorts of places that have been they've been proven by someone maybe you trust, and then look at whether you should really trust those people, not out of fear, but just evaluate gradually over time. It doesn't have to be done overnight, and evaluate those things. And investment wise, man, there's a lot of people pushing a lot of products that are just not good. And a lot of those products are information, right? So unoffendable, focus on being unoffendable, because then, deal with whatever it is that, say even an unbidden feeling comes up. They're like, oh, damn, it really gets me. Okay, well, why does that really get me? And deal with that. I gotta say, there's almost nothing that's contributed more. My dad gave me a book, that's a very book, and shameless plug for that book. It's called Unoffendable. It's by a guy who's a talk radio show host. I think he was living in Miami at the time of writing it, or somewhere in Florida, and very different Florida than now. That was years ago. And so, anyways, a book that, regardless of your background, man, there is universal truth that is good in there, and universally useful. So, anyways, I hope this is briefer than my last one. Yep. And, just a little tidbit, little nugget, take it, move on. If it was in any way useful, give me a thumbs up. Let me know. Subscribe, punch that subscribe button, get me into the algorithm, get me moving along so that we can, I can put out some stuff here that's really more for the group. But yeah, again, look at what is not, to put it one more way, look at what is not what the crowd is doing, because the crowd is almost always following fear. There are a ton of people in the world, a ton of people in your community. I mean, it only takes thousands and millions. It doesn't take billions to make madness within the crowds. And so look at the main couple. You will be presented with 2+ options, right? The bad, the good, bad guy. You'll be presented with the good guy, and then you'll be presented with alternative, right? And so look at the 3+. That's what that Mineko guy does really well economically. And economics, man, it's key. Can't say I was super interested as a kid. Wish I had been. It would have been super, super useful to me. So, anyways, like I say, hope you got something out of this. Enjoy your day. Take some rest. Resting gives you time to reflect on things, right? So, great time to reflect. If you got nobody around, take that time alone and reflect. Do something you like. Do something you enjoy that you don't need anyone else to do that with. You don't even need anyone else to like it or like that you're doing it. You don't need them to care. Just go and do it. And if you truly enjoy it, great. That's the sort of thing to do right now. Thankfulness, man. Just so blessed to be alive and have a job right now. And that is just great, man. Look at the fundamentals. And then go from there. Then look at what you're going to invest in. Then look at where you're going to put your time. Then look at what job you want to keep doing. Then look at whether you want to move up. Then look at whether you want to, spend more time with your family, move closer to home or further away, take more risk. Go from there. Go from the fundamentals. Foundation needs to be solid. Because in the coming days, weeks, and months, and this is the closest I get to prediction and speculation, honestly. Most of the time. I mean, everyone has flukes, but this is pretty much the closest I get, is that at the end of the day, we're going to get into next year and beyond. And every day, there are going to be cracks appearing in people's foundations. And it's not to be fearful. If you're listening to me right now, we're not next year. we're in the calm before the storm, really. I mean, I know it looks messy, but that's mostly around you still, right? Some people it's not. Some people have already gotten hit. They're outliers, right? And that really sucks. I know some of those people. That is really, really terrible. And I feel for those people, and been blessed to have a chance to help a few of those people, but not many, sadly. But staying on task is just that, you're dealing with this ahead of time, right? You have a chance to think of this now. And so if you're even going to some random channel like this, you're willing to think outside the box. You're willing to look at something new, and you're willing to contemplate the validity of it. So contemplate it, reflect on it, analyze what I just said. There are weaknesses in what I just said. But I bet you I stake my life on the fact that they are not foundational weaknesses, because I know these things to be true. These things are actually self-evident, and much like I said in my first video, and about certain other things, that this is a self-evident truth that what a weak foundation means the whole house is weak, the whole structure, whatever it may be, the whole playground. Yeah, I mean, it could be anything. The whole business, the whole family is weak, right? And so look at those weaknesses, figure out how you're going to deal with them, develop a game plan. Your first step, even if you're planning one step ahead, you're planning. And so wherever it seems like you have a foundational issue in your life, in my life, in the world around you, figure out how you're going to deal with that. I'm dealing with some of those foundational issues by moving, because the world around me, where I live, a beautiful part of the world, arguably the most beautiful. I will take the tropics to task on that, because I do not live in the tropics. I will take these tropical islands to task on that. I live in an awesome place. I don't think I could have been more blessed. Amazing family and friends, and it's wonderful. And so it's such a blessing. Very thankful. Too little thankful. Too little thankfulness in my heart, probably. But I look at the world around me and in other aspects, and I'm like, I need to deal with some foundational issues. The best way, I think, at least what I'm going to try, is moving. And hopefully for you, it doesn't entail you doing something like uprooting yourself. Hopefully you can deal with it without uprooting yourself. But I've been trying other methods for years and not working. So pick a game plan, deliberate over that game plan, weigh it out. You'll be tempted to fear, but don't give in. Work on that unoffendable guard. It'll create a softness, a joyful softness within you, and defensible position for your heart, for your life, and for your loved ones as well. You'll be an anchor to fall back on, and resting point more and more. Anyways, I'm not saying that like I'm perfect, got it all figured out, but that is the goal. So anyways, have a great holiday season. I'm going to say Merry Christmas because I love Christmas, and hope whatever you're celebrating, you enjoy that too. All right, on that note, I'm out. Goodbye, and have a great day.